Hello friends, and happy Thursday, happy day 2 of NaNoWriMo. I am already in my pajamas. I'm in Greg's Cowboy Bebop shirt, and once again, it is after 6 p.m. and I have not yet nanoed today. Today was a super busy work day. I got 2 videos edited and uploaded this morning, quite a bit of admin work. We had 2 cover designs go out to clients today, 20 pages for my editing client, and just regular life. Making dinner, feeding the horses, I'm doing some laundry, I'm washing all the bedding, stuff like that. So it has been a very busy day, and now it is 6 p.m. after 6 p.m. It is 6:20, and I am gonna go ahead and get started on my chapter for the day. I know that it's very yellow in here. I've tried adjusting my camera settings. It doesn't want to play nicely, and I have amber light bulbs in the bedroom because I like that warm light, especially in the winter. It's very calming to me. So it's gonna be yellow, and we're just gonna work with it. I'm here with Mew. You can't see her, but she's here. Got my laptop. Let's go ahead and get started on chapter 3. Chapter 3, as I mentioned yesterday, is now the new inciting incident. I kind of touched it up last week or earlier this week when I made it the inciting incident, because before it was not. So now the proposal, the inciting incident, is in chapter 3 instead of chapter 10. It causes a nice, beautiful, dramatic fight at the family dinner table. Who doesn't love one of those? So we are going to work on that chapter. And then after that, there will be, starting in chapter 4, a lot of little changes to make, because I now need to weave through the fact that the proposal is in chapter 3 and not in chapter 10. So starting tomorrow, I'm probably gonna have my work cut out for me, but let's go ahead, get started on chapter 3. I made chili. I'm gonna have that here in a little bit. But yeah, welcome to NaNoWriMo day 2. Let's get started on chapter 3. And by the way, I just have to say before I get started, I'm very proud of myself because Greg is watching Netflix right now, and I chose to not watch Netflix and to instead come into the back bedroom and work on my book. So usually Netflix sucks me right in, but I did not let it suck me in this time because I care about Nano, and we're gonna get chapter 3 done. It is 7:30, so I've been in here for about an hour. I did eat a bowl of chili. So good. I want to go get some more. But I finished my edit of chapter 3, and it was pretty easygoing, considering I had like moved the proposal to chapter 3, and that you know, has ripple effects that are going to permeate the book now. But I am not happy with the actual proposal itself. I'm not sure I'm good at writing like really lovey-dovey like dialogue. So I have his like little proposal speech, and I read back over it, and then I rewrote it, and I read back over it, and I'm just not happy with it yet. I'm gonna have to return to that again later and play with that and try to make it sound not cheesy and not just like flat, because I feel like that's how it sounds right now. Like, it doesn't sound like a really authentic proposal, but I'll work on that later. So there's that. I left a marginal comment for myself. I've mentioned before, that's how I kind of keep track of changes that I know I want to make on subsequent revision passes. So if I'm writing, or maybe I've just finished a chapter and I get an idea for a revision that I know I want to make, if I don't feel like I'm in the place to go back and do it right at that moment, I will just leave a marginal comment for myself, and then I can address that comment in the next revision. So that's what I went ahead and did with the proposal, because I really, like, I tried to ask myself, what would I say if I were proposing? And I literally have no idea what I would even say. So I'm gonna have to think on that some more and come back to that at a later date. So we're on to chapter 4. Now, chapter 4, I think I might potentially cut a significant amount of chapter 4. So as is, we meet a new side character in chapter 4, and I really love her. I love this side character. She is the sister of our hero, and she's a really supportive, strong, loving character, and she becomes a bit of like a shoulder to lean on for our heroine. And they meet in this chapter and they go swimming in like a pond, and all the like kids end up joining them, and it's a really fun chapter. I had a good time writing it, but this might be one of those scenes where if it is not relevant and if it does not push the story forward, if I could take the majority of the scene and throw it out and the book wouldn't be affected, then that probably needs to happen. So it is possible that I'm going to end up cutting a significant amount of chapter 4. So that scene itself is only the first scene in chapter 4, and that's 1,549 words. So maybe that's not too much, but I also already see in here that like in this chapter, in all the chapters, I'm gonna have to change all the chapters now that this proposal has happened. So I think I'm actually gonna get started on this. I don't know if I will finish chapter 4 tonight because it is a bit long. It is quite long, actually. Chapter 4 is a big one. So I do not think I'm going to finish chapter 4 tonight, but let's go ahead and get started on this scene where our heroine meets essentially her future sister-in-law, and I want to see if there's anything that I could make a little bit more concise so that this scene doesn't feel irrelevant or boring in any way. Okay, that was my wrist. All right, let's do our final update for the night. I finished the first scene in chapter 4, and now I'm working on the second scene. The first scene I feel like was a bit slow. Actually, I finished 2 scenes. I finished the first 2 scenes in chapter 4. Now I'm on to the third scene. And even though the first 2 scenes I feel like didn't have a lot going on, that first scene definitely introduced an important character, so I need to introduce that character. And then the second scene is a transition to get us where we need to be for the rest of chapter 4. So I finished the first 2 scenes of chapter 4. I just got started on the third and final scene of chapter 4, but I'm going to finish that tomorrow. I want to check my word count too to compare it to my previous draft. I currently technically have 3 drafts of this book. Draft 1, which is unfinished, draft 1.5, which is also unfinished, and now this is draft 2, and I think this will be the first draft that's like a full draft. So draft 1.5 had 48,000, or has 48,880 words, and draft 2 currently has 49,322. So we've gained a little bit of word count, and we've gained 1 page. And I am hoping for draft 2 to finish up at around 60,000 words. So I do want to try to add 10,000 more to this draft by the end of Nano. I do have some totally new scenes to write. At least 2 that I can think of right off the top of my head. So I think not only through like expanding anything that's kind of thin, but also through writing a couple of new scenes, actually 3 scenes. At least 3 new scenes. So I think I should be able to hit 60K with relative ease, but that just might be Nano day 2, Natalia talking, and maybe on day 15 I'm going to be singing a different tune. So we'll see. But I'm gonna wrap up day 2 here. Chapter 3 is done. I am halfway through chapter 4, and the rest of chapter 4 is really fun. So I'm actually looking forward to finishing this tomorrow, and I will catch up with you on day 3 of Nano. Let me know down below in the comments how it's going for you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.